Hi there. In this video, I would like to show you how it works to use tube paint and how it works to do like a flat wash on proper watercolor paper. This is Arch's 140-pound paper, a professional watercolor paper, versus a drawing pad. This is 70 pounds that I use for drawing. It's a great paper for learning to draw because I can erase my pencil drawings a lot, but not so great for watercolor application, especially a heavy watercolor application, as you will see. So first what I want to do is get some paint out from my tubes. I'm going to do a gradated wash. So I'm going to have a lighter and a darker blue. I have very dirty water, as you can see. So I'm going to start with my spritzer and get some water going in here. And then look at how much paint I can create. I can, it's really hard from your palette, which I have finally cleaned mine. It's hard when your paint is this dry to get this much paint. But if I have a tube of paint, it's nice and juicy. It's like glue straight out of the tube. This is a Martha Graham, which is bound with honey. So it's automatically, it actually does stay fresher longer. This is a Holbein, I think it is. And I'm actually not going to use my dark water because this is lighter. So I'll just go ahead and get some water in there, and then you can see how I can make a nice big puddle of paint. Okay. All right, now let's say I'm also using a mop number 2, which holds a lot of water in its belly. It's a natural hairbrush, so it holds a lot of water. And here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and start at the top. I'm gonna tilt my paper so that I have gravity working for me. And I'm just gonna go ahead. You wanna mix more color than you think you need, but with every stroke, I am adding. Now I'm going to the dark one. I'm not gonna shake this out because there's no need. I'll just go ahead and add this dark paint and continue on my way. If I was doing it backwards, maybe I would have, maybe not. And there I have, oh, that almost looks like a moon up there or something. A nice gradated wash. Now I'm getting some pooling down here, and that's gonna turn into a back run. So, and if I'm doing a sky or something, if it's ocean, maybe I don't care. But if I'm doing a sky, maybe I don't want the back run. So let me dry off my brush. I can pool it all over here and then just soak it up. There. Now even this, I probably would want to put down with clips just to keep it flat. Or after it dries, I could put a book on top of it, and that would flatten it out too. But you see that I have this cobalt teal, cobalt turquoise light it is. It has a bit of granulation, so it's kind of granulating and stuff in there. That's just, what the paint does. Some paints do that, some paints don't. So that is how that goes on an Arches, which is sort of the classic watercolor paper. Not my personal favorite at this point, but I have used it a lot. Okay, then let's go ahead and mix up some more. This is so dark that I'm just gonna go ahead and, as you can see, I'm just kind of dribbling water in here so I can make a lot of paint. It's just a soup. It's a soup in there. And then I'll kind of use the side to get some of that paint out, maybe rinse my brush. And then let's get more of this cobalt turquoise light going. I've now used the whole puddle that I had, or I should say the paint, the tube from the paint. the paint from the tube. Geez, sometimes it's hard to talk and paint at the same time. So I'm going to do the same thing. Fill my brush, tilt my paper, and let's do the same thing. Now everything's kind of going according to plan. Maybe I don't need to touch into my well every time. It's getting lighter now, so let me grab the other one. I like how they're moving into each other. I can just kind of keep going down, going down, going down. I'm obviously doing a bigger page on this one. Now, where you will notice the difference is how the paper is behaving. So this definitely is buckling. You know, it's curling because it's a small piece of paper and I didn't tape it down or pin it down. This one is doing all kinds of weird things. Because that's just kind of a lot of wetness for this weight of paper. Now I can do the same thing. I could take some clips and I could clip it down and hold it tight. And I could still paint more on top of it when it was done drying. But even with a clip, I'm just getting a lot of buckling and stuff. As opposed to this, you know, it's curling, but if I had taped it down, which I often do, it's not really doing it at all. It's more like a cardstock kind of paper versus what's happening here. On the other hand, on this one, you can really see the granulation, which is actually pretty cool. And can be, you know, obviously for water or for beach or something, can be a cool feature. And this paper is showing it better because it's a very, very smooth paper, whereas this is a cold press paper. It has a little tooth to it. So anyway, that's just, you know, sometimes if you're following along in a painting tutorial and there's a lot of heavy background stuff going on rather than just painting smaller shapes and you're using more of a drawing paper, that explains why you're having this effect happen. Believe it or not, it's not you, it's the paper. So the paper that I recommend right now is, I've been using this Fabriano Artistico paper. It's their professional grade paper. It's 140 pound, it's cold pressed, so it still has some tooth to it. But it's a little smoother, so you can draw on it a little easier. And it really reacts nicely with the water and gives you a little more time to do what you need to do. Now, the other thing that we would really notice is, let's say we tried to do wet and wet. If I tried to drop some stuff into these wet spots, it would really pool right there because it's making a depression. Whereas if I did it on this paper, the paint would react a little better because it just has more structure. So anyway, that's kind of the difference between those papers. Now you can totally use a lighter paper for watercolor. In fact, there's a lot of mixed media papers that are 100, 90. I prefer ones that are more like 120, 130 for my sketchbooking. For real paintings, I like 140, sometimes even 300, depending on how much water I'm going to use. But when you get to the place where you'd like to follow all these kinds of techniques, do yourself a favor and invest in some nicer artist paper. Even if you waste every page and never create a painting that you like, you will learn a lot and have a lot of fun in the process. Thanks.